Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday, it is another episode of the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show. We're going to be sitting down and talking about all of the latest transfer rumours surrounding Everton Football Club. There hasn't been an awful lot over the weekend, I'm not going to lie. There's been, hints here and there, the same usual stuff about Gabriel and how he still hasn't made his decision and how we'll have to wait another week for his decision. And then there's been a couple of transfer rumours that, again, have just been a little bit of paper talk, really. But over the last sort of half an hour or so, we've had some big information from two very, very reliable sources. Now, it's nothing sort of specific. It's nothing regarding advanced talks or anything. It's just regarding Carlo Ancelotti and who he wants to bring into Everton Football Club and the positions in which he prefers to target. So we're going to talk about that today. It is regarding Allan. It is regarding Abdoulaye Doucouré from Watford and another midfielder who is quite a versatile player, really. Can play midfield, can play fullback, currently playing for Rome, and I believe he was on loan at Valencia last season, Alessandro Florenzi. So we're going to speak about him as well. There has also been a slight update in the Gabriel saga, which could mean, the end of all of these rumours and the end of this big, massive F-fest of crap that it's been over the last couple of weeks or so, of Everton being interested in him and Everton not being interested in him and Everton not being able to bid as much as certain other teams and other teams not having the finances to bid as much as Everton. And this entire saga, listen, you all know my opinions on it. I've come on these live streams and I've spoke multiple times over the last couple of weeks or so. I'm just getting bored of the Gabriel situation now. It's really, really draining on me. It's doing me nothing, seeing all of the different rumours sort of every day. One minute it's that Everton are completely out the race and Arsenal are interested in him. The next minute it's that Everton aren't out the race and, we're the favourites to sign him. It's just really, really tedious and it's getting really, really boring now. But we may have an end to that. Granted, it's not quite the way a lot of us would have wanted, but it's an end to this saga finally. And we're also going to talk about Everton midfielder Tom Davies in today's live stream as well. So I hope you all are doing well. Sorry. If you are watching live, don't forget to tweet the stream out, share it on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever means you'd like to. Get everyone involved. Let's get as many people in here as possible. If you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. Sportpatcher says, hey Cam, how was your day? Hope it is fine. It's been great, mate. It's been absolutely great. I've spent it at work and I was greeted by the surprise from the missus who picked me up, which was a really, really nice thing to do anyway. Saved me getting the bus and being an hour getting home from work. But not only did she offer to pick me up, but she also brought me this new training top, which I think is absolutely fantastic. And I remember seeing it online and thinking, that's nice, that I'll probably pick that up. But now I've seen it in person, it's absolutely gorgeous. It's like a grey, not like a light grey, but not too dark. It's a really, really nice grey with the light blue detail. It's got the megaphone on the sleeve there, obviously with the Kazoo logo. It is absolutely spot on. I absolutely love it. So big shout out to Jess for picking this up for me. Didn't tell me she was getting it, didn't expect it, just got in the car and it was there. So big thanks to Jess. I really, really like it. It's definitely one of the best sort of pieces that Hummel have come out with. Listen, I don't think Hummel have come out with a poor piece, and I understand that there's issues regarding the manufacturing of the gear and stuff like that, but in terms of the designs and purely looking at designs, I don't think Hummel have come out with a bad bit of Everton gear this season, and this is definitely up there with me. Really, really comfortable as well, in case you haven't picked up any of the stuff so far. But anyway, let's get straight into it. Sportbotches also says Everton will sign Alessandro Florenzi from AS Roma. Atlanta, they're also interested, but we're going to talk about Florenzi in just a second. We'll get into that information first because it's sort of the only real solid information we've had regarding Everton Football Club. Now, don't get me wrong, the players that these two sources have mentioned, whether it be Allan, Doucouré, they've been linked with Everton before, and there's obviously been strong links regarding Allan and a potential move to Everton Football Club for him. Obviously, he's played under Carlo Ancelotti before. There was talk last week that he turned down Atletico Madrid, as well as other sides that were playing in top European competitions in favour of coming to the Premier League and playing for Everton Football Club. But again, it was rumours, it was paper talk, it was sort of information that you're looking at and thinking, right, okay, I believe it because I want to believe it, but realistically, it's not nailed on to happen. But these two are very, very reliable, and it's information that I think we can all look at and think, right, okay, we can take that as pretty much solid rather than just sort of a guessing game as to whether the sources are reliable or not. And it's coming from Damasio and Fabrizio Romano. Now, a lot of people will know Fabrizio Romano from Twitter. He is famous for his sayings whenever the transfer's ready to go. He does the here we go on Twitter, and he's very, very reliable. Look, both of these sources are reliable. Damasio has been, a little bit hot and cold over the last couple of years or so, but Fabrizio Romano is pretty much anything he says is solid, and he's very, very reliable. I know he works for Sky Sports, and they all aren't always the most reliable, but most of the time that stuff comes out of Sky Sports that's a load of shit. It's not coming from him. Anything that really comes from him is is quite solid. James says, hi Cam, hope you're well. I'm not too bad, mate, hope you're well too. He also says cheers for the updates, and no problem at all. And Hazel, which is my mum in the live comment, she says, hi Cam, remember me. I do remember you, even though you're constantly in work and never at home. Anyway, off topic. So coming from DiMarzio and Fabrizio Romano, they have said that Everton are back in talks with Napoli for midfielder Allan. Abdoulaye Doucouré is, of course, on Carlo Ancelotti's list, as well as Carlo Ancelotti is strongly wanting a new midfield player. Now, again, this is all information that we've sort of known somewhat previously. Definitely the stuff about Allan, the Doucouré rumours have been sort of there and thereabouts over the last couple of weeks and months or so. We all know that Carlo Ancelotti wants a new midfielder, but it's quite refreshing to hear it come from a reliable source, and a source that, is very reliable notoriously, rather than coming from papers, which could be just a guessing game. It's not hard, let's be honest, to sort of guess that Carlo Ancelotti wants a new midfielder, considering our current midfield is absolutely atrocious. Both sources also say that Everton are interested in Italian fullback/midfielder Alessandro Florenzi, currently playing for Roma, spent last season on loan at Valencia, 29 years old. So let's break the three players down. Obviously, Allan is a player that's been massively linked with Everton Football Club over the last couple of days and months or so. There was actually a rumour from Nico Scherer, who is a little bit less reliable than the two I've just mentioned, but has got some things right in recent weeks and years or so, but he's also got some things wrong. He actually said that last week that Everton were in advanced talks for Allan and personal terms had been agreed. I said it on Friday's live stream that I think that out of all of the players that we've been linked with over the last sort of few months or so, I think we've been linked with something like 150, 160 players or something ridiculous like that. I think Allan's the one player that I look at and think I can see that happening more likely than any of the other transfers. And I know we've been linked massively with Gabriel and John Clare Todibo and various other players over this period of time, certainly after the football and the Premier League was suspended due to what's going on in the world. We were linked with a lot of players, but Allan was always the one that I thought I can see that happening. And the reason for that is because all parties seem to be going ahead with this transfer, whereas obviously with Gabriel, whether it's his agent or the player or Lille, somebody is sort of holding back on that. The situation with Allan seems very, very simple. Allan wants to move to Everton Football Club because he wants to come and play in the Premier League. He's 29 years old. He won't have many more opportunities to come and play in the Premier League. As well as that, he wants to play under Carlo Ancelotti again. Carlo Ancelotti trusts the player. Obviously managed him at Napoli for last season when he was there. Really trusts him. He's a player that we need, a player that we'd want. He plays in a position that we definitely need to bolster in. And Napoli would be happy to get rid of a 29-year-old player who doesn't want to be at the football club and make some money back on him. So the Allan situation, it sort of fits in itself because it all parties sort of agreeing in it. It's just a case of agreeing the fee for Allan now, in my opinion. I don't think personal terms will be a big issue. But DiMarzio and Fabrizio Romano have confirmed that Everton are back in talks with Napoli for the centre midfielder. So hopefully them talks don't last very long. Hopefully we don't get into a merry-go-round situation like the one with Gabriel. There has been a couple of rumours over the last couple of days that Atletico Madrid are interested in Allan and various other sides, but they were pretty much shot down last week when it come out that Allan was wanting to come to the Premier League, wanting to play under Carlo Ancelotti again, and would be happy to turn down sides like that. And listen, we've seen it various times over the past sort of couple of years or so. We've seen it when we brought Yerry Mina in. It was a couple of weeks before we brought Yerry Mina in, and there was some news publications saying he was absolutely nailed on to sign for Manchester United, and Mina ended up coming into the football club, had an interview and said, listen, I was never interested in signing for Man United. I was never interested in signing for any other football club except Everton Football Club. So we see these rumours where, with players that we're strongly linked with, and then one minute they're linked with somebody else, and maybe it's just the agent trying to rile up his fees, maybe it's the club trying to rile up their fees. I highly doubt that Atletico Madrid are wanting to bring Allan in, and I am confident that we'll get that one over the line. It's just about that right transfer fee between both clubs, and as we said on Friday, it seems like there's a little bit of discussion and a little bit of disagreement regarding that transfer fee, but hopefully Everton managed to get that one over the line, because he is definitely a player that we could do with, and definitely a player that I really, really want to come to the football club. He's tenacious, he's aggressive, he sits in that centre midfield, he's not afraid to throw attack tackle in, he can push the ball forward, he gets involved, he gets stuck in. He doesn't create an amazing amount of chances, he doesn't score an amazing amount of opportunities, he doesn't assist an awful lot, but again, I've always thought going into this transfer window, we need two centre midfielders. We don't need one centre midfielder, we need two. We need a centre midfielder of the Allan, esque player that'll get stuck in, a player that'll get about, a player that's not afraid to throw a challenge in, not afraid to get his socks dirty, not afraid to get in the faces of opposition players and referees, and a player that's a little bit more creative and a little bit more technical and got that ability to create something out of nothing. We need two centre midfield players to either play alongside Gomez or to play in a 4-4-2 and Gomez sits on the bench, because again, yes, Allan will fill a massive, massive hole and is almost definitely needed at Everton Football Club. He won't bring that creativity that we also desperately need, but he would be a fantastic signing nonetheless. So I'll break it down in regards to the different players that Fabrizio Romano and Damasio have mentioned. So in regards to Allan, I'm putting it in make it happen. I really, really want this signing to happen. I'd love him at Everton Football Club. I think he's very, very good technically. I think he's also got a lot of heart, he's got a lot of passion, and it's very, very clear that his attitude is right, because he wants to come and play for Carlo Ancelotti. He wants to come and play for Everton Football Club. There's none of this, oh well, I might go there, I might go there. Any solid information that we've seen, and yes, there's been other clubs linked with him. Yes, Atletico Madrid have been linked with him, but any sort of solid information that we've heard so far regarding Allan has pretty much been that Everton want the player, Ancelotti wants the player, Ancelotti's already spoken to the player multiple times, the player wants to move, and it's just a case of the both clubs agreeing personal terms now, which is understandable. So I've gone for make it happen for Allan. I absolutely love him at the Football Club. The next player they talk about is Abdoulaye Doucouré. Apparently he is also on the list. I can imagine the Abdoulaye Doucouré situation to be slightly along the lines of, if we can't bring Allan into the Football Club for whatever reason, if Napoli just simply don't want to bring their price down, or we just simply aren't in a position to pay the extra £5 or £10 million or whatever it may be because of what's gone on in the world or finances, etc., then I would assume that Abdoulaye Doucouré is sort of the next best option on the list for Carlo Ancelotti and Marcel Brands. Obviously, he's a player that's played in the Premier League, a player that I would have absolutely loved at Everton Football Club last summer when Idrissa Gana Gueye initially left the football club and we were identifying replacements for him. Obviously, prior to bringing John Philip Abamin in, Abdoulaye Doucouré was massively, massively linked with Everton Football Club. Of course, Watford have been relegated this season, so I don't see it being a massive, massive task to bring him in. Yes, we'd probably have to pay a little bit more over the odds because they absolutely hate us for some weird reason, probably because we took Richarlison off them and took their manager off them, who ended up being shite, but I don't know, they just hate us for some mad weird reason, and probably because we beat them in the last minute last season and contributed in them being relegated. But again, like I said, the way I see it, the way it's worded by both journalists is that Everton are back in talks with Napoli midfielder Allan, with Napoli for midfielder Allan, and Abdoulaye Doucouré is also on the list. So I see it as maybe Doucouré's a backup option in case we don't manage to bring Allan in, or potentially again, it'll never come out that Doucouré's a backup option if we sign him. Let's be honest, if the Allan deal doesn't go over the line and we end up bringing in Abdoulaye Doucouré, Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti aren't going to come out and say, oh yeah, he was a backup option because we couldn't get Allan, so we went to him, he was second best. They're not going to say that. They'll say something along the lines of, he was always on the list and it was a toss-up between both players, and we ended up saying that Abdoulaye Doucouré's got more Premier League experience, so we'll go for him. They'll never come out and say, oh yeah, he was number 2 choice, and because we couldn't get him, we settled for him, because that would just, that'd be ridiculous to say for a player that's just coming into the football club. But that's how I see it anyway. Again, it mightn't be the case. It might just be that Marcel Brands and Carlo Ancelotti have picked out 2 players, Doucouré and Allan, and they're deciding which one to go for. But for me, if we bring in Allan, I can't see us spending another £20-odd million on Abdoulaye Doucouré, a player that plays in a very similar position and would do a very similar job for the football club. But in terms of would I take him, in terms of the rating that we give, if you're new to the Talking Rubbish Transfer Show, by the way, I realised I haven't said this, we've only done one episode in since the return of football, which was like 2 months ago now, because obviously of all of the fixtures and everything that's gone on, and I've realised we've had quite a few new subscribers and watchers since then, so I'll briefly explain the premise of it, because I've just completely forgot that there'll be people probably watching going, what does possibly mean, what does make it happen mean? So the Talking About Transfer Show is basically a transfer show where we go through all of the latest rumours and players linked with moves to Everton Football Club in the transfer window, and we rank them on my opinion. We rank both the players and the rumour itself, and obviously all the ranks are, the 3 ranks are complete rubbish, which basically means, irregardless of how good the player is or how much you'd want him at the football club, the room is complete and utter shite and it's never going to happen, and it's just some journalist waking up in the morning and going, hang on, let me just link in with him for a laugh and to make some money. Possibly is that I possibly believe in the rumour and that there's some possibility in it, and I also wouldn't mind the player coming to the football club because he'd offer us something and make it happen as, get it done, get the transfer in, bring the player in because we desperately need them. So that's briefly the premise. Again, I'm putting Abdoulaye Doucouré in the possibly category because I think there's a very, very, big possibility if we don't manage to bring Allan in for whatever reason or another that Abdoulaye Doucouré is the player that we look down to. Premier League experience, good physical player. Okay, didn't have the greatest season last season and obviously played in a side that was relegated. However, we brought a Doucouré from Aston Villa when they were relegated, and look how well he done at the football club. 63 people currently watching. A massive, massive thanks for all of your support. If you could hit the like button, it would mean a massive, massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe as well. We're live streams all week this week. We'll be back Wednesday, we'll be back Friday, of course. So there are 2 of the names mentioned by Damasio and Fabrizio Romano. Like I said, Allan have gone for make it happen. I'd love him at Everton Football Club, and I think he'd do a fantastic job. And Abdoulaye Doucouré I've put in possibly because, again, I'm not completely convinced that if we brought Allan in, Abdoulaye Doucouré would also be on the list to come in. I think it's more of a, if we can't bring Allan in, then bring Abdoulaye Doucouré in. However, look, if Allan for whatever reason doesn't come in, I think I'd be quite happy with Doucouré as long as it was for a decent price. On to the last name that was mentioned then by Damasio and Fabrizio Romano, and that is Italian fullback / midfielder Alessandro Florenzi, 29 years old, can play in both positions, very versatile footballer. This is a deal that I can see making a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense for this one, and I'm going to put it in possibly. I'm not completely convinced to throw it in the make it happen category. I'm not overly over the top, over the moon for it, but it makes sense, especially a loan deal for Alessandro Florenzi would make a lot of sense. He's 29 years old, he's got a lot of experience, played in the European in the European competitions as well, played at the highest level, obviously spent last season on loan at Valencia, so Roma are used to loaning him out. He's a player that obviously wasn't totally against the loan deal last season because he went out there. For whatever reason, Valencia haven't taken the option or haven't tried to exercise an option to purchase him on a permanent deal. But again, it's a deal that for me makes absolute sense. When I read this rumour, I thought, I'm not over the moon with it because he's a 29-year-old. He's probably coming towards the back end of his career. However, looking a little bit more into it, he's a versatile player, like I mentioned. He can play in the midfield, he can play at fullback, both 2 key positions that we're looking to strengthen in this season, this summer. 2 positions that we need to bring players in because obviously with the return of Djibril Sidibe back to Monaco, we miss out on that right back cover, which means that Seamus Coleman's got very little cover, and at the moment we'll have to play almost every game of the season unless John Joe Kenny is deemed good enough, which I'm just not convinced by so far. And obviously Leighton Baines at the other side of the pitch has retired, so ultimately we haven't got any cover for left back. I know a lot of people are pointing out young Niles Nkounkou, who's been training with the first team and looks really, really good in the training videos. However, I just don't think he's ready to be playing consistent Premier League football or to be even back up left back at the moment. I think he'll probably spend the season at the under-23s before he's pushed forward. We'll get into the live comments in a second. Lewis says, Cam, where's the background at the sign? I'm going to use it on Wednesday's live stream. I have to use a slightly different background for the Talking Rubbish transfer show. I know you DM'd it, I've seen it. It's absolutely fantastic. I'll be using it on Wednesday's live stream just because, like I said, I've got to use a slightly different background for the Talking Rubbish transfer show. But I have seen it. It's absolutely boss. I love it. And we'll be putting it on Wednesday. So like I said, Alessandro Florenzi, a good, versatile footballer. Not unbelievable, not amazing, not the best footballer I've ever seen on the planet. 29 years old, like I said. But again, plays in 2 key positions. And a loan move for Florenzi is a real possibility, and that's why I put him in possible. If we could bring him in for a year, no guarantees that we'd have to purchase him, no promises that we'd have to spend 10, 20 million pounds on him at the end of the season. Bring him in for a year, 50, 60,000 pound a week in wages, and he fits in those key positions that we need. He can come in, he can play a fullback if we need him to, he can play at centre midfield if we need him to. Like I said, there's no promises there, towards bringing him in on a permanent at the end of the season. See how he does. What's the worst that can happen? The thing is with loan deals is that there's very little you can lose out on with a loan deal. Yes, okay, you can lose out on wages and paying a player however much, money a week ultimately if they don't turn out well. But realistically, there's nothing much that you can sort of go wrong with a loan deal. At the very least, like I said, you're wasting wages. Ultimately, if they're not good enough, you don't play them and they go back to the parent club at the end of it. And for a player that's obviously very, very experienced, played in European competitions, played in some of the top leagues in Wales football, and is a versatile. How many versatile players have we got at our football club? How many players do we have currently that can play fullback, that can play centre midfield, that can play on the wing, that can play in various different positions? We haven't got none. We've barely got players that can play in the positions that they've been signed to play in. Never mind players that can play in different positions. And some would argue that. Some would argue that Fabian Delph's like that because he played left back briefly for Manchester City, but Fabian Delph has been dreadful when he's put an Everton shirt on this season. His attitude's dreadful as well. So in regards to Florenzi, like I said, I'm putting it in possibly. I'm not completely convinced by it. I'm not going to go out there and say, yeah, bring him in, he's unbelievable. I love him, he's fantastic. But I also am not going to say complete rubbish because it's come from a very, very reliable source in DiMarzio and Fabrizio Romano, and I actually think it makes a lot of sense. A loan move. They haven't mentioned the loan move, by the way. They haven't mentioned whether it'd be a loan move or a permanent deal. Again, I'd probably edge towards complete rubbish, but a loan move I think would make decent sense for this player. A player that can play fullback, a player that can play centre midfield, good experience, decent ability on the ball as well. And again, like I said, a loan move. What have you got to lose realistically? So there you go. There are the three players that DiMarzio and Fabrizio Romano have linked us with literally within the last hour or so. I logged on to go on Twitter and set the live stream up and that, and I just seen it and I thought, shit, this is big information, this is big news, because again, it's coming from two of the most reliable sources on the in the football and world for transfers. If you're looking at rumours, unless you're wanting players stood at Finch Farm with the shirt, and everybody is wanting players stood at Finch Farm with the shirt, and I'm wanting players stood at Finch Farm with the shirt, and I don't believe any transfer rumour completely until they're at Finch Farm, wearing the training gear, shaking hands with Carlo Ancelotti, eating a scran in the cafe, sitting next to, Richarlison, who's doing his pigeon dance. I'm not completely convinced until that happens. However, if you're looking at transfer rumours and you're judging reliability, Fabrizio Romano and DiMarzio are two of the most reliable journalists on the planet at the moment, and I can take this information as quite solid. So there you go. That's the latest from those two. That Everton are back in talks with Napoli for midfielder Allan. Abdoulaye Doucouré is also on the list. Like I said, they didn't mention him being a backup. They didn't mention him being if we can't get Allan, we'll get Doucouré, but I've just sort of read it as that because, again, I don't think it would make sense to bring both players in, and I don't think it makes sense to bring Doucouré in over Allan purely because Allan's got the experience playing in the top leagues, and also he's played in the Carlo Ancelotti before. And then of course Alessandro Florenzi. Let me know your thoughts on all three players. Of course, are you with me in Florenzi? Would you bring him in on loan? Do you see that there's nothing much to lose with that? What do you think about Abdoulaye Doucouré also being on the list? And of course, what are your thoughts on Allan? If you're enjoying the stream, by the way, so far, please do hit that like button. Nearly 70 watching currently. Really do appreciate all your support. Honestly, it means an absolute massive amount to me. If you can share the live stream, let's get as many people in here as possible. Really do appreciate it. We're going to give a little bit of an update on Gabriel. I think it's information that a lot of people will be happy to welcome. I think it's information that a lot of people will be quite relieved to hear, really. But we'll get into the live comments before we do that. Sonny says, alright everyone, glad we're moving away from Gabriel because we're going nowhere with it. Me too, mate. Absolutely spot on. By the way, if you're enjoying the stream so far and you haven't subscribed to the channel, we bring weekly Everton content Monday, Wednesday, Friday, as well as videos in between there as well. Whenever there's any breaking news, we cover it on the channel. Live streams as well, 3 live streams a week, so please do subscribe if you are new. It only takes a second. It's completely free. We recently hit 2,000 subscribers, which is absolutely unbelievable, and of course we're flying towards the goals now. 2,500's next, then 3,000. I really do appreciate each and every one of you. If you're watching currently live, get the live stream shared. Let's get as many people in here as possible. Let's try and get the numbers to sort of towards near the 100 mark. If we could, it would mean a massive amount to me. Get your thoughts in the live comments as well. We'll be going through all of them today. If you're watching a YouTube video, feel free to share the stream as well. Really do appreciate it, and get your thoughts in the comments of the YouTube, comments of the YouTube comments, and I'll be going through them as well. James says, lovely that top, mate. Thank you very much. I absolutely love it. I think it's absolutely boss. Sportbot just says, Yannick Bolasie really wants to impress Carlo in training from the footage provided. Yeah, again, I don't think Yannick Bolasie's got a future at Everton Football Club, if I'm being completely honest with you. Is it nice to see him working hard? Yes. Is it nice to see him having that relationship with Evertonians? Yes. Is it important for him to do that? Yes. And have the right attitude? Yes. Do I think he's got a future? No. I think he's just trying his hardest to try and convince Carlo that he has. But ultimately, I think Yannick Bolasie will leave the football club at some point in the near future. But again, you can't discredit him. You can't go against him. You can't say a bad word about him currently, because he's working hard. He's getting his head down, and he's got the right attitude and mentality. Eugene says, James Rodriguez welcomes a Premier League move. Well, hopefully it's not to Everton, mate. James says, I'd play him. Wormy says, hey, virtual hugs for everybody. Don't worry, it will get better. Thank you very much. You too, Wormy. Tom Newton says, do you think Kenny will be sold and replaced with a loan like Tete or Delo? Would make sense to me. It would make absolute sense to me as well, mate. If we could bring in Tete, I would absolutely love that. In regards to John Joe Kenny, he's been back at Finch Farm this week, of course, as has Mo Besic, obviously returning from their loan deals. I think it's just a case of Carlo Ancelotti and the coaching staff looking at John Joe Kenny now, between now and obviously the first game of the Premier League season on the 13th of September, and really deciding if he's good enough to be a part of the squad going forward. If he's not, then they've got around about a month or so to shift him on. They've also got time to watch him in Premier League games, in Premier League action, to decide if he's good enough. Personally, from what I've seen at his loan from Schalke, I just still don't think he's mastered the defensive capabilities of being a fullback. Yes, he's decent going forward, and yes, he always has been a lot better going forward than he has defensively, but he needs to be a lot better defensively for me. Harold says, we need to find a way to get Zuma back. Gabriel. I don't think I'd want Zuma back either, to be honest with you, mate. Wimmy says, Camlad did the like, guys. Thank you very much. Lewis says, we've sold Keane. I don't think we have, mate. I think there'd be a lot more comments if we had. James says, hope. No, Alex says, Cam, I'm not one to get carried away, but we're winning the treble. Imagine it. Imagine the scenes. Sport Bodger says, we were not linked with Sangare in this one. Yeah, we were linked with Sangare last week. I haven't mentioned him. I was going to mention him today, but there's been a lot of other sort of rumours. Again, I'd love Ibrahim Sangare. We spoke about Sangare a couple of weeks back. We spoke about him loads over the last few weeks or so, and how important he'd be to bring him in. Around about £15 million maximum. He'd be a fantastic signing for Everton. He really, really would. But then again, there's not been any solid links. It's just been that Everton are apparently interested in bringing him in, which, we're apparently interested in bringing in 90% of the professional footballers on the planet. Sonny says, Lewis, where have you heard that? Martin says, why not offer Davis and 8 million for Longstaff? Last 12 months of his contract, you're a legend, Cam. Thank you very much, Martin. Really appreciate that. We're going to go on to talk about Tom Davis in just a second. Wormy says, not going on about transfers today. Going to be positive. Bolasie, Kenny and Besic back in training. Get Besic in the midfield. Bring Besic back. Yeah, he is back in training. Listen, whether he'll come back or not, I don't think he'll start many games. I don't think he'll play many games for Everton Football Club next season, to be perfectly honest with you. But there you go. Anyway, let's get back into the transfer rumours then, and then we will get back into the live comments a little bit later on in the stream. If you're enjoying, like I said, feel free to hit that like button. Thick and fast today, over the last 24 hours or so, we've had an update on the Gabriel situation that could finally put an end to all of our suffering, finally put an end to everybody getting up in the morning and going onto Twitter and saying that Everton are still interested in Gabriel, and then going down, making a cup of tea, logging back onto Twitter to see that Everton are completely out the race. Finally, we may have an end to this utterly draining and quite frankly annoying transfer saga that we've been in over the last few months or so, ever since we, pretty much had a deal, tied up in February prior to the the issues and the football and suspension and what happened with the pandemic and stuff, and ever since then it's just been a massive roller coaster ride. And I can honestly say I've been on a lot of roller coasters in my life, and I quite like a ride, but this has been a fucking terrible one. Anyway, according to Jay Bear from the Telegraph, Arsenal are now closing in on the signing of Lille defender Gabriel. Jay Burt, again, another quite reliable source, to be honest with you, one of, again, the more reliable sources on the footballing planet. And Fabrizio Romano, again, like we mentioned before, top reliable source. He has also said, he was asked a direct question, in fact, he didn't just come out with it, he was asked a direct question about who is interested in Gabriel. Don't want to know about who's in talks with them, don't want to know about you know, who's going to sign him, who is interested in bringing him in, and he said Arsenal, Manchester United and Napoli are the 3 clubs currently interested. This was both yesterday. This come out yesterday that Arsenal, United and Napoli are interested in him from Fabrizio Romano and from Jay Bird saying that Arsenal are closing in on him. It was then revealed today, or the Liverpool Echo done an article today saying that Everton are currently willing or are now due to end their pursuit of Gabriel as they are pursuing a midfielder as main priority. Which again, all of those sources there and pretty much everything you will have read, whether it be on social media, whether it be in publications, whether it be in newspapers, wherever it may be, pretty much all you would have read over the last sort of 24, 48 hours or so is that Everton are now looking to sort of walk away from the Gabriel deal and, you know, move away from it and target other key positions, whether it be a new centre-back target or whether it be centre midfield, because quite frankly, we're wasting a lot of time on Gabriel now and you know, if we're being completely honest, centre-back isn't the biggest priority on the pitch. Yes, it's a priority. Yes, bringing in a new centre-back will be absolutely fantastic. But is it the biggest priority on the pitch? No. Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. Centre midfield is the biggest priority at the football club so far. So all of those rumours there are pretty much going along with the same storyline as that Everton are either ending their pursuit of Gabriel or we're not even in the race for Gabriel anymore. And again, this doesn't fit into any of the categories really because it's not so much a transfer room, but just imagine the make it happen button here said fucking brilliant, made up, absolutely fantastic. Just imagine it was just the 3 smiley face emojis, because you know what, again, you can look at this 2 ways. You can look at it and think, I'm gutted that we didn't manage to bring him in. I'm gutted that we didn't get the deal over the line in February when we could have. I'm gutted that, you know, we've lost out to him. Or you could look at it in the situation that I'm sort of looking at it and thinking, thank fuck that the saga's over. One way or another, I was getting really, really bored of this tedious saga, and I just can't, you know, I'm just happy that it may finally have come to an end. Now look, I would have liked Gabriel. He's a good player, and I hope to God he doesn't turn out a world-class footballer, because, you know, that would have put us in a real shit position. Obviously, a lot of people are putting the blame on Marcel Brands for this one. A lot of people are putting the blame on the football club for not getting the deal tied over the line and tied the knot and over the line in February. I think there's a lot of things to discuss and to think about when thinking about this. It's not just a case of that Everton have not got the deal done and we've been outbid by somebody else. It's more a case of that with what's going on currently in the world and with finances. And obviously, since Everton had agreed the deal in terms of gentleman's agreement and agreed personal terms with the player, since then we've played the remaining 9 games of the season. It's become as evident as ever that the centre midfield is utterly atrocious and needs improving urgently. And there's been a global pandemic that shut the complete world down, and that has meant that Everton's finances have been put in jeopardy. It meant that the Premier League money didn't come in until very late. It meant that for the last 9 games of the season there was no people through the stadium doors, so there was no ticket sales, there was no money made on the turnstiles. The shops have only just reopened, so there was no face-to-face sales in the shops. So there's a lot of things to consider, and I understand the frustration, and I understand that a lot of people will put this to Marcel Brands, a lot of people will put this down to the football club for not getting the deal done. And I'm not sitting here completely saying, we can't criticise Marcel Brands. If you want to criticise Marcel Brands, if you want to criticise Everton, then that's completely fair enough. That's your opinion, and obviously everybody's entitled to that opinion. But there's a lot more than just we didn't get this deal over the line, and I think that's the biggest sort of thing to think about in this situation. Is there's a lot more than just we couldn't be arsed paying the extra couple of £1 million. But you'd have to remember as well, as Everton are one of the only clubs in the Premier League that didn't furlough any of their staff, that didn't put any of their staff in a vulnerable position, and again, that's another sort of thing on top. If you look at Arsenal have just made 55 of their staff redundant, but they've just signed Willian on a £300,000 a week contract, and they're probably going to sign Gabriel. Now, some people would say, I don't care about the staff at the football club. I want to sign the best players and I want to bring the best players in. Some people would say, I want it to be a well-run family football club and a club that everybody who works for it enjoys working, and, you know, it is not sort of a position where they shit on the people below to sort of benefit the people above. Again, that's the sort of 2 ways of looking at it. Like I said, I'm just happy that it's over with. I'm just completely happy that, you know, we don't have to hear this Gabriel could move to Everton Football Club, or Everton are in the race, or Everton have agreed personal terms, and no, he's going to Arsenal, and no, he's going to Man United. I'm just made up that it's done and dusted finally, and that we don't have to think about it anymore, and that we can put our attention on other players. We can put our attention on other players that get the call saying, do you want to come to Everton Football Club and think, yeah, you know what, that's a fucking massive opportunity that I'm going to come, I'm going to play under one of the best managers in world football, I'm going to develop so much, I'm going to give it 110% week in, week out. I just hope now we can put our attention into bringing in players with that type of attitude, rather than players that are like, I will come to you, but I'd rather go to here, or I'd rather go to here if they put a bid in. I've just got no time, absolutely no time for those type of players. And I'm not saying that the stalling in the situation and that the decision to not bring Gabriel in was down to the player himself. I'm not saying that that's true, because, you know, we don't know that at the end of the day. But again, I'd rather bring players in, very similar to Allan, who have put the stall out quickly and said, no, I want to go to Everton Football Club, and as soon as you get a deal done, I'm moving on, because I want to go and play for Carlo Ancelotti. And ultimately, like I said, above it all, although it's disappointing that he's not coming to the football club, I understand the reasons. I also understand the disappointment in fans, for not getting the deal over the line, but I'm just made up. I'm just absolutely fucking made up that we don't have to sit here and talk about this any longer, because it's quite frankly tedious, it's boring, it's annoying. And for a player that I think a lot of us have been quietly confident isn't going to sign for Everton Football Club for the last 6 or 7 weeks or so, or at least 4 or 5 weeks or so, I'm just made up that it's finally over the line. It's finally sort of put to bed now, and we can move on to thinking about other targets. And as Carlo Ancelotti, as the Liverpool Echo was stating, Carlo Ancelotti believes we should be moving on to players who play in the centre of midfield and in other key positions, rather than focusing far too much on a centre back that there's no guarantees over. We done it last summer. We put far too much energy in thinking about Kurt Zouma, and ultimately he didn't want to come to the football club, and we were let down last minute, and we didn't manage to bring in a centre half. Luckily for us, Mason Holgate stepped up massively and had a fantastic season. If he wouldn't have, we'd have been in danger. If you're enjoying the team, by the way, please do hit the like button. It only takes a second. 74 people currently watching. So there you go, that's the latest on the Gabriel situation, according to pretty much every source. Jay Bear from the Telegraph, again very reliable, saying that Arsenal are closing in on the signing of the Brazilian defender. Fabrizio Romano saying that Arsenal, Manchester United and Napoli all are in the conversation for the player, however Everton are not. And the Liverpool Echo with the latest bit of information, which is that Everton are apparently going to end their pursuit for the Brazilian centre half, and we're actually going to move on to more important targets of the centre midfield and other positions, which I think is a sensible move from the football club, rather than just continuously trying to stretch this out and in some sort of hope that the player will wake up and make his decision. Because at the end of the day, Gabriel's been making his decision next week for the last 10 weeks, and he'd be the last person I'd be going to ask what I want for me tea. He'd be the last person I'd be going to say, hey mate, you know, I'm gonna have turkey dinosaurs and waffles today. Shall I have beans or peas with it? It'd take 425 years to decide what you want for your scran, and by the time he decided, you wouldn't be fucking hungry anymore. Reese has donated £9.99 to the live stream. Thank you very much, Reese. Really, really do appreciate it. He says up the fucking toffees. Honestly, mate, really, really do appreciate it. You don't have to donate. I don't ask for donations, but if you do, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. Your message will be read out on stream, of course. It'll be discussed, in this case, up the fucking toffees, of course, Reese. Honestly, mate, I really, really do appreciate it from the bottom of my heart. If you're interested in donating, like I said, I don't ask, but the little $sign at the bottom of where you type in your comments is how you do it. But honestly, Reese, really, really do appreciate it. It means an absolute massive amount to me. Thank you very much. Top man. Top man. Before we go on to talking about the rest of the transfer targets, then we'll dive back into the live comments for a little bit, get involved with some more comments. By the way, like I mentioned, let me know your thoughts on the Gabriel situation. Let me know your thoughts on all of the players that Fabrizio Romano and DiMarzio have linked us with over the last hour or so. Where are we in the live comments then? Let's see what people are saying. Union says Everton set sights on club record bid after approach made. I don't know who that's referring to. Sport Watcher says Allan, Atletico maybe 2 because they play a 4-4-2. There could be some truth in it, but I just don't. There could be some truth in Atletico Madrid wanting to bring Allan in, but I just don't think Allan would want that move. I think he wants to come and play under Carlo Ancelotti again. Sonny says I've seen clips of Allan and he's exactly what we need. Get him now. Spot on. Jab says we shouldn't even listen to rumours. The only time we find out when a player's signed, and it doesn't look good so far. Everton should tell us who they are for instead of the Echo's news. Well, again, Marcel Brands has come out over the last week or so and said that he's very, very disappointed with the fact that Everton's transfer business and Everton's supposed targets have been leaked to the media. So they're not going to come out and say, listen, we're after X, Y, and Z. Ollie says, hey up, Cam, mate, how you doing? Sport Bodger says, Jonas Lazel and Virginia was insane today. Do you think they can change Pickford for the #1 spot? No. No is the honest answer. I just don't think they're good enough. James says, see Hart going to Spurs, was thinking he could come to us, but you're right, Cam. Allan is a must for me too. Yeah, again, Hart, again, he would he make a decent backup? I don't know. He'd probably want silly amount of money, and he'd have no chance of getting in the starting 11 because he couldn't get in Burnley's starting 11, so he's not getting in Everton's, let's be honest. Dosbick says, where me, my man? Hell, Arabic, he says, hello everyone. I don't think it's the real you, but hello. Wim says, hey Dozzy, how you doing? He also says, probably not getting Allan because would be helping them get Gabriel funding wise, as they might have already paid out for Osman, and maybe I'd help Napoli fund Gabriel. I'd happily help Napoli fund Gabriel if it means we can bring in Allan. If Napoli turned around and said, you give us £30 million or whatever they're requesting for Allan, and then we're going to go out and sign Gabriel, I'd say, bish bash bosh, there you go and sign whoever the fuck you like, but let us have this player, because ultimately Allan plays in a position that we need to strengthen in more desperately than Gabriel plays in, and Allan is a player that quite evidently over the last few weeks appears like he really wants that move to the football club. Gabriel doesn't, so I'd take that with me, I would. Sportbot just says, John Joe Kenny was in training, Mo Besic and Sandro in the middle, but nowhere to be found. Richarlison and Calvert-Lewin, to be fair, haven't been in training yet either, so to be fair, the other players might be coming in next week or tomorrow or whatever it may be. Dodge says, good, thanks, and you. Sonny says, we're pulled out the Gabriel pursuit, there you go. Toby Man says, sign Messi. I done a tweet about Messi the other day after that Barcelona game and said he was embarrassing and he embarrassed himself because of his lack of work ethic. Would I still have him at Everton Football Club? Oh, fucking course I'd have him at Everton Football Club, but I wasn't massively impressed with his work ethic the other day. Wimmy says, or have we, Sonny, that maybe we were never in, maybe Lille are just trying to jack his price up. Don't know why Napoli have loads of dosh and paying no attention now until it actually happens. Spot on. UTFR United says, Everton are the biggest club in Liverpool. There you go. He says, thoughts on Lingard and Jones to Everton? No chance, mate. They're both absolutely atrocious footballers. Can't think of anything. Says we should sign both Doucouré and Allan. Fair enough. Sonny says I agree. But says, what do you think will be our young breakout stars this season? I'm going to cheat a little bit and put Anthony Gordon and Moise Keane in there because I still think they're still young and they can still break out into top Premier League players next season. So I'm going to put them in there. If you were to ask me a player that maybe hasn't had a Premier League cap yet, then I'd probably say that Nkunku, purely because we haven't brought in left-back cover yet, so he's more likely to play if Luka Dean, gets injured, which touch wood he doesn't, but if that's the case. Or maybe Ellis Sims. Can't think of anyone besides Doucouré, Allan, Sergi Roberto, the Seville keeper, and Bay, we would get top 6. The Seville keeper had a decent game yesterday, didn't he, to be fair to him. Women says we need a right-back, though. Really, the position needs filling. Coleman needs to back up, so another right-back loan seems a bit pointless. I think we need to bring in a right-back that's good enough to start week in, week out, to be perfectly honest with you, and I think it's about time that Coleman sort of is phased out the team now. And Andrew says we should buy both as our home midfield is shite. It is shite. You're absolutely right. Listen, mate, you've not said anything that's wrong there. You're absolutely spot on. It is certainly shite. Anyway, let's get into the another transfer rumour then that we have read over the last couple of days and months or so. I've got a couple more to get through. If you're enjoying, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Once again, a massive thank you to Reese for the donation. Really, really do appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Big thanks to everyone in the live comments. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get through as many of them as possible. Next transfer rumour is according to Corriere del Mezzogiorno. I've probably butchered that. I think it's an Italian publication. I've absolutely butchered the pronunciation, but whatever. And they have said that Everton have stepped up their interest in Napoli defender Nikola Maksimovic after giving up on signing Gabriel. Napoli won £50 million for both Allan and Maksimovic. Now, this was actually rumoured a couple of days before the rumours that Everton had given up on the Gabriel. This was put out there before Fabrizio Romano said that Everton weren't really in the race. It was put out there before Jay Bird said that Arsenal were closing on the defender, and it was also put out there before the Echo said that Everton, have ended the pursuit. So when this was put out, I think a lot of fans sort of, it gained a lot of attention because it said that Everton had given up their pursuit of Gabriel and that we're now looking to set our sights on Napoli defender Nikola Maksimovic. Again, I'm torn between possibly and complete rubbish for me, because I just, again, the source, I'm going to put it in complete rubbish purely because I don't believe the source, and I also think it's quite an easy rumour to make up. You'd only have to look at the situation and think, right, okay, Everton are giving up on Gabriel. Who else can we link them with? Which other centre-half makes sense? Oh yeah, let's link them with a Napoli centre-back who could form part of a joint deal with Allan, who's played under Carlo Ancelotti before, and who would make sense to come in and do a job at centre-half. So ultimately, I'm putting this one in complete rubbish. Listen, I like Maksimovic. I think he's a decent player. I think he'd do well. He's a player that would come in and start for us. He's a player that would come in and start next to Mason Holgate. So, again, I'm not against him coming in. I'm not saying that he wouldn't be good. I'm not saying that he wouldn't do a job for the football club. I just don't really think that there's a lot in this, and I just don't think that there's a lot in this situation. Like I said, the rumours of players that we're interested in, in the Liverpool Echo article, which you can choose to believe or choose not to believe, they said that Everton are looking to now switch their focus on centre midfielders rather than centre defenders. So I don't see why Everton would, end the pursuit of Gabriel to switch their focus to centre midfielders and then go after a centre defender. It just doesn't make much sense for me. So I'm putting this one in complete rubbish. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section down below. Listen, again, he's a decent player. I'd like him at the football club. I just don't think there's an awful lot in it, if I'm being completely honest. I don't think there's much chance of that. Certainly not the double deal for 50 million for both Allan. It makes, again, it can be seen as lazy journalism because it's quite clear and it's become quite obvious because of what Napoli have said and the Napoli hierarchy have said that they're desperately in need of money. They need to bring in money in order to fund signings like Gabriel and signings like other players that they've been interested in. Osimhen as well will still be playing that sort of deal off. So it makes sense for them to say, right, okay, we'll give you 2 players for £50 million, but if they're wanting £50 million for Maksimovic and Allan, they're wanting 40 odd million euro for Allan, so that would mean they'd only rate Maksimovic at 10 million euros, which I just can't see happening, to be honest with you. If it said towards 60, 70, I'd say probably a little bit more realistic, but at 50, considering they're wanting 40 odd for Allan, I just don't see it being realistic, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm putting that one in complete rubbish. Let me know your thoughts on it. Look, he's a centre-back. There you go. We're after the centre-back because we're after Gabriel. We've ended our pursuit in Gabriel. He plays for Napoli. He's played under Ancelotti. Again, it makes sense, but I don't believe it. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. 43 likes, currently 71 people watching. If you could hit the like button, if we could get to 50 before the end of the season, it would mean a great deal to me. I really do appreciate all the support. We'll get on to the final transfer rumour of today then before we dive into the live comments for the final time and ultimately finish up. And this is regarding Everton midfielder Tom Davies. According to the Daily Mail, which have put a lot of rumours out there regarding Everton players over the last few weeks and months or so, but this one is specifically regarding midfielder Tom Davies. They have said that Newcastle have set to bid £12 million for Tom Davies. However, Everton prefer to sell players on a higher wage rather than Davies. Listen, I'm going to put this out there now. If there's any, in terms of the rumour, I'm going to put possibly, because I can see Newcastle spending that much money on a player in Tom Davies because they're genuinely shite with money and they're just a small football club, aren't they? So I can see Newcastle putting in a ridiculous bid like that for Tom Davies. In regards to if the rumour was right, would I want it to happen? 100%. Make it happen straight away. I think if we can get anywhere near £12 million for Tom Davies, I'd sell him. Look, he's not... Ultimately, he's not good enough to play week in, week out for us. Is he a decent squad player? Yes. Do I like him? Yes. Have I got any real issue with him? No. Is he good enough to play week in, week out? Probably not. And would £12 million be a decent deal for him? We would obviously have a little bit more to spend with financial fair play as well. I'd take it. I really will take it. I understand Everton saying that we're preferring to sell players on a higher wage than Tom Davies because obviously there's going to be players on triple, if not quadruple the amount of money that Tom Davies is on, i.e. Gylfi Sigurdsson, i.e. Fabian Delph, that again have just not good enough to play for the football club or who have got no real future at the football club. However, Look, if Newcastle bid £12 million for Tom Davies, I'd snap your hand off for it. I would absolutely snap your hand off for it. I can't lie. He's an okay squad player. He's alright at coming off the bench and making a slight impact. And by impact, I mean he'll throw a couple of tackles in or he'll load the ball up semi-decent. He doesn't create anything. He doesn't do anything much defensively. He doesn't blow anybody's skirt up. And for £12 million, again, I'd take the money, I would. In terms of the source, I'm not too sure. I'd probably put it in possibly in regards to the source, with it being the Daily Mail. They've got a lot of things wrong recently. However, you know, again, like I said, he for £12 million, I'd snap your hand off for him. Again, he's probably not even good enough to be a squad player. But look, you know, he's definitely not good enough. One thing's absolutely certain, and that is he is definitely not good enough to play week in, week out in the Premier League. And if we can get £12 million for him, then I'll be selling him. Let me know your thoughts on the Tom Davies rumours in the comment section down below, of course, as well as everything else that we've spoken about today. Anyway, we're going to get back in the live comments before we finish up then. Really do appreciate all of your support as per usual. 6 likes away from 50. Can we get to 50 before we end the live stream? If you're new, don't forget to subscribe as well. By the way, if you're watching this YouTube video, leave your thoughts in the comment section and we'll get involved with as many of them as possible. Sport Bodger says, where do you feel Everton will finish next season? Depends who we bring in, mate. It depends who we bring in. I honestly can't answer that question until, you know, the transfer window is shut and we can assess the signings that we've brought in. UTFR says Lingard would be your best player. He wouldn't, mate. He'd be absolutely shite, just like he is now for Manchester United. Can't think of another name. Says Florenzi or Sergio Roberto would be both decent, very versatile and great signings for the squad. I agree. Ian says, I'm lazy regarding scouting talent, but I have faith in Carlo will bring in the right talent. Maybe it will be over 2 transfer windows rather than 1. It'll probably be over 3 or 4 transfer windows, mate, to be perfectly honest with you, because that's how desperately in need we are of players in various different positions. But I agree. I'm completely faithful in Carlo Ancelotti. Remy says Doucouré is too old at 27 for 40 million. They are asking, we need to buy young players with sell-on potential as finances seem to be problematic. You're spot on. Achwendale says, what do you think of Mason Holgate? Manchester City have put a bid in. I don't think they have put a bid in. What do I think of Mason Holgate? I think he's fucking unbelievable, mate. I think he's absolutely fantastic. Would I sell him? No, not at all. I'd say to Manchester City, go and look somewhere else because he's not going anywhere. Harold says Balassi should play ahead of Bernard because Bernard is in the wrong sport. Again, neither should play. Let's be perfectly honest. If we're being massively critical, neither are good enough. Bernard technically is a good player, but hasn't shown anywhere near the amount of consistency that's needed. And Balassi hasn't shown anywhere near the amount of consistency. So why are we comparing the average to shit players and saying, oh, well, we'll have to utilise one of them? Why not just go out and buy a winger and say neither of them are good enough, so we're bringing in a player that is good enough? Sport Badger says, saw Delphin saying, and how long do you think before he gets injured again? Hopefully he just gets sold, mate. UTFR United says Messi is going to Everton. Thoughts? He's not, but decent. Wayne says, I've signed Gabriel to clean my shoes. It's a done deal. Can't think of any reasons. Why don't we put a cheeky bid in for Hernandez from Bayern? Obviously won't happen, but why don't we start acting like a big club? You're right, why not? What's the worst that can happen? They laugh and put the phone down. Then what? You move on to the next player. Alex says, much rather have Zuma than Gabriel. Zuma is actually solid. Don't understand why nobody wants him. He didn't have a great season, mate, and a lot of people are under the impression of that ship sailed, so just sort of move on. But again, you know, there has been rumours recently. Eugene says Tom Davies is heading to Newcastle. Again, we've just discussed that rumour. Wayne says need a few big loan deals this summer. Yeah, we're going to talk about loan deals and Marcel Brands and all of that sort of stuff on Wednesday's live stream. Hopefully we'll be joined by a special guest as well, but we're going to talk about how we'll probably approach this transfer window and, you know, the deals that we're probably more than likely going to get over the line, as well as any breaking news stories, of course. Wayne says because he isn't solid, Alex. Jones is shite, mate. Sorry to break it to you. Wayne says we could have got Van Dijk for $5 million a few years ago. We could have. Ewan says Jordan Pickford meant to be sold this summer because Carlo Ancelotti has lost faith in him. I don't think he'll be sold, to be honest with you. Wayne says, Cam, thoughts on England? I think we've got some world-class talented players. Greenwood excites me and Arnold, but I hate to say it, he'll go to be the best I don't think he'll be the best right back ever. He's a decent player, but I don't think that. And in regards to England, I don't really focus too much on England, mate, to be honest with you. I'm a real club man. I'll watch them if they're on the telly, but I'm not awfully invested in them to have any emotional connection. Sonny says, couldn't care less about England. Mikey says, shows Allan's commitment to join the club rather than someone like Højbjerg who wasn't interested. You're spot on. And by the way, I've got no issue with Højbjerg coming out and saying, I don't want to move there, I want to move to Tottenham, because he made it clear from day one, and he moved to Tottenham. He didn't say, oh yeah, I'd love to move to Everton, and then change his mind. He didn't sell us a false dream. He said, this is where I want to go, and then he went there, and like I said, I've got no issues with that. Amy says, who would you want to sign? Why would you want to sign Messi so we could have a big titty lip and do nothing like he did against Bayern? You're spot on. We won't be talking about Gabriel again. Hopefully, can't think of an effing name. Big up Reese once again, of course. Dodgebrook puts a love heart. 84. Maybe says, nice Reese. Thank you very much. 84. Bricktop says, we need to stop messing about and get deals done, aiming for young, hungry players. You're spot on. Wayne says, Reese, bro, what happened to the other penny lad? Respect. Listen, it's more than enough. Contact for Name says, Koeman set us back 5 years and signed 200 million on shit players and gets the Barcelona job. Exactly. It seems like managers that leave Everton Football Club get decent jobs. Martinez went to Belgium. Koeman went to Netherlands and then Barcelona. It's mad, isn't it? It's mad. Dodby says 10 quid more than what Gylfi Sigurdsson's worth. Whammy says, by the time he decided he would die of starvation and just be a skeleton eating dinos and peas. What peas 300 years ago you decided peas? I'd decide beans, by the way, just completely off topic, but on that, I've been thinking about it ever since I mentioned that comparison, and I've thought, you know what? It's beans. It is beans, innit? Anybody back me here? It's definitely beans. Can't think of it. He says everyone is forgetting goalkeeper is more of a priority than centre back. You could look at it that way. Stale says, what do you think of Odderson Eduardo from Celtic? Need the goal scorer. Could he do it in the Premier League? Again, not a priority position for me, mate, so I wouldn't be going in for it. Can't think of a name. Says 2 CMs, a keeper, a winger, a fullback on loan, and it's the bare minimum. I agree. Kean says Allan and Doucouré both in of. We move some of the dead wood, and also Gbamin could play centre back if he's fit, mate. That's if he's fit. Clip says 2 weeks from now when it's confirmed Allan aren't coming. Everyone's saying it's getting boring now. I'm not arsed. No, I'm not bored of the Allan stuff. I want Allan to come. I'm just bored of the Gabriel shite. William says there's going to be leaks. Let's face it, there are going to be leaks. Maybe the club should consider being fully transparent at least. Then you get players who want to come to your football club potentially. Can't think of an M. Says, what do you think of Harry? Would you consider Harry Winks? He also says, meaning that Holgate and Branthwaite are good enough for the season. I like Harry Winks, but I think he cost a lot of money. Can't think of anyone. Says Keane and Richo are duos next season. Let's not forget DCL. He's had a fantastic season. Alex says, where would you play Gordon next season? Surely has to start one of the wings, mate, either or. And then whoever comes in, I'd bring a wing in and he plays the other wing. Steve says, hi Cam, I think Allan, Loan and Doucouré, but I would rather have Sangare. You do a boss job, mate. Thank you very much, mate. I'd love Sangare. I really would. That way they do look at one player at a time. Where he says, Ian says, thought they wanted 30 million for Allan. Apparently we offered 30 million, they wanted more towards 40 million. Dosby says 50 likes and Cam does the Richarlison pigeon dance. Well, we're at 50 likes now, so I'll do the Richarlison pigeon dance at the end of the scene. You've got my word. We're going to finish it up in just a second. Where he says, do the chicken dance. Can't think of anyone. Says, if Newcastle signed, I'd be more happy than if we signed Napoli. Davis, I assume you mentioned. And then it says, would you be happy with only buying Allan? If you could imagine not buying Doucouré as well, could be realistically looking at our midfield and be excited. I'd be happy only signing Allan out the two. If you were saying to me Allan's the only sign in the summer, I'd be quite fuming. But out of the two, Allan and Doucouré, I would be happy only signing Allan. I'd love Doucouré as well, but I wouldn't be fuming if we only brought in one of the two. Can't think of him. Just Cammy's not a decent squad player. He's fucking shite. I think you back him because he's a scouser. Maybe, but again, like I said, I'd take 12 million for him. Maybe says, I won't be happy if you just sign Allan. We need a centre mids, 2 centre mids, a right back, a backup left back, a right winger, a backup goalkeeper, possibly a centre back. We do. Can't think of an says, Cam, the sentiment needs to go. We need to get rid of these players who aren't good enough and not keep them just because they work hard. Mate, I agree, and I'd sell Tom Davis. Like I said, if the big come in, I'd sell Tom Davis easily. Wayne says, I'll get your likes up 50. Got 3 YouTubes. Thank you very much, Rick. Really appreciate it. Nearly on 60 now. Honestly, the support on today's live stream has been unbelievable. Big thanks to everybody. We are going to finish up in just a second. Can't think of anyone. Says Keane, Delph, Pickford, Tosun, Besic, Balassi, Iwobi, Sigurdsson, Davis, Walcott aren't good enough. Wormy says Bernard should be Holgate or Moyes. Keane. Sport Badger says, what happened to the Thiago Silva link? Can't wait for him to get released and us being linked with him. Yeah, again, it just sort of died a sudden death, didn't it, really? Holgate and Mina is a great partnership, says, can't think of a name. Sportbot says, can I be your guest on your next team? We're booked up for the next couple of streams, but DM us on Twitter and we'll definitely get it sorted and we'll get you on, mate, 100%. Dolby says, I miss Funes Mori. Can't think of a name. Says, I miss Rom. I miss Rom as well. Wayne says, Holgate looks smart going into the training. Davis comes in. Davis wasn't in training, I don't think. He wasn't seen on the pitches anyway. Paul says, if we don't buy quality this season and finish in the top 6, our best players will leave. I agree. Couldn't agree with you more, mate. Lewis says, please shout out my Twitter at Merseyside Edits. Go and follow Merseyside Edits. Reece says, sorry guys, my phone died in the vets. Not to worry, mate, not to worry. Ollie says, where is Richarlison, Davis, DCL, Bernard weren't in training yesterday? Probably just being given a couple of more days rest for whatever reason or another. Alex says, I think Gordon should play Cam, to be honest. Me too, mate, me too. You're spot on. Reece says, I'm not happy I've missed this team after watching tonight. Thank you very much for the donation, Reece. If you do watch it back, let me know your thoughts on everything that we've spoke about. Thunder sounding awesome. Sam Peter, is that Sam, my mate Sam? I think it is. What's happening, Sam? He says, did sound sick like Ian. I don't know, is it now? I can't, it's probably fucking now. I can't hear anything, but over the last couple of days it has sounded. Alex says, can't wait for Delph to leave, the Paul prick. I agree, and can't think of anything. It sounded horrible on that Davis comment, but he just isn't good enough. I agree, he isn't good enough, he isn't. Anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. Listen, if you have enjoyed, please do hit that like button. Honestly, the support on today's stream has been absolutely unbelievable. There you go. Alex says, follow c.m. ENSAH on Instagram. Go and follow Alex on Instagram as well. Honestly, 60 likes, 76 people, had 80 people in here at one point. Big thank you to everybody, each and every one of you, for watching, for liking, for getting involved in the live comments, for watching as a YouTube video afterwards if you're catching up. I really do appreciate all of the support. Honestly, it's absolutely amazing. Massive thanks to Reece, of course, for the donation. Really do appreciate it. We'll be back on Wednesday, 5:15, for another live stream. We're going to be talking more about Everton Football Club. We're going to be talking more about Marcel Brands and transfer strategies and or any other breaking news stories as well. Really do appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, honestly, the support has been unreal, and it means so much to me. Can't think of a name. Says, I love your content though, man. Thank you very much. Sam says, yes, now shout it out on the stream. Smash live me. There you go. Sportbotcher says, goodbye Cam, have a good day. Thank you very much, mate. You too. Ewan says, are you looking forward to this Thursday morning when the Premier League fixtures are coming out? A little bit, mate. It's a sour grapes in it, because not knowing when we'll be at Goodison Park next. But I am. Wim says, take care, guys. Hernandez puts loads of pigeons and says, have a great one, guys. Thank you very much, both. Can't think of it. Says, good stream, bro. Thank you very much, mate. Really appreciate it. Eden says, see you, bye, and see you on Wednesday. Ian puts a thumbs up, and Sonny says, Everton, get the screen recorder ready for the pigeon dance. I'll do the pigeon dance now. Listen, big thanks for watching. Please do hit the like button if you haven't already. It means a massive amount to me. Subscribe to the channel. We'll be back on Wednesday, 5:15, for another live stream. I'm about to embarrass myself royally here, and I'll probably see this clip on Twitter later on, but there you go. Big thanks for all of the support, honestly. It means a massive amount to me. Share the live stream. Let's get as many people involved as possible. If you're watching in the comments of a YouTube video, get your comments in. I'll get involved with all of the comments, I promise. Big thanks for watching. I'll see you on Wednesday, 5:15. I don't know how to do this. I've never done it. Can't think of anything. Says, enjoy the rest of your day in Sport Bodger said, and you're going to be watching and reviewing the friendlies. I will be the first one. I'm on a plane for the second one, but I will be doing as much coverage of it as I possibly can. But definitely the first one. I don't know how to do it. There you go. That's all you're getting. That's all you're getting. Big thanks for watching. Please leave a like if you've enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you soon.